Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel.
Hope you have a wonderful day. If you are new to our channel, we usually talk about a lot of things when it comes to personal finance, our journey when it comes to finance, and a little bit of tips and tricks that we found in order for us to get financial ahead.
Yes.
So in today's
video is the second chapter of the tips that will change your view about money.
So
the first one,
yep.
yes. So tip number one is take a daily money minute. That's what I like to do. Like in the morning, I like to open my bank and then check all the transaction.
It's basically like on Monday from the weekend
I don't know. I do every day.
Do you?
Yeah, like sometimes morning and night.
Yeah.
Well, not that I spend a lot, but then is having these days a lot of scammer. I just worry. And I like to see if it's anything odd in there, so I can like being proactive and check it.
Mm-hmm. Like for me, sometimes we get like an alert, like a message, hey, you're from this bank, you can't log in. Like, hey, there's a transaction in here. I'm like, this sounds suspicious. And when they try to go, hey, you're logged out for whatever reason. So, and then we always take a note of like, okay, all of this transaction is valid.
Did we go there? Did we spend at that time? So that we track. And also we just have to make sure, okay, do we spend this on grocery? Normally grocery, we know how much do we spend, so we know we are within the budget. If sometimes it's way too much, then we know that we have to cut down for a bit. Or maybe like last week we went dentist, so I know that we have it's quite big spending on there.
That's it. The next one will be allocate 20% of your income towards your financial priorities. So for us, it will be investment, whether it's ETFs, your superannuation, your pretty much retirement plan.
Yes, a long-term goal.
Yeah, yes. Emergency fund also. So be sure that if you are utilizing all of this section, you always have to top it up. Let's say your emergency fund goes down for whatever reason, you use it, you got to top that up as well as you go along before you can go do any other fun stuff.
Yeah, not really fun, but what if you have your debt, you haven't paid off your personal debt or the car loan debt, so you save your emergency fund first and then allocate whatever surplus or that 20% that we talk about into tackle that debt first. Once you finish, you will feel you have more surplus income afterwards, then you can allocate those money for long-term investment.
I remember I have a friend of mine, and actually they're going through the debt snowball, and I sat down with him and figuring out, based on your projection, you should be finished in this time frame. I think it was like next year or something, and then I can see the relief in his face. Like
I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, because it was taking him forever, like 7+ years or something.
It was when our son was
just born, and until now he's still paying off all of those debt. I mean, he has been persistent.
He did not give up at all.
I mean, if you sit down and figure out your budget, figure out your plan, and what he's trying to do is, like, instead of having a 20%, he just tried to allocate as much spare coin to paying off the debt,
because his debt is just,
it was ridiculously huge.
Big.
And it was it wasn't a good debt. Well, no debt is good debt anyway. It was pretty much quite a big lump sum, and it has taken him 7+ years to go through it.
Yeah.
The next one
one is budget about 30% of your income for your lifestyle spending, because life is not about saving. Life is about enjoying and planning.
I must admit, I'm having a hard time to do this section, spending section.
So what you said about last night, we went for dinner.
Yeah, like for example, last night we went in a good restaurant or so. I can't tell the difference between
I know how's that
versus the food court that we just ate during lunch.
It's 10 times of the value last night. Anyway,
so for me, like, some people doing that too much, they instead of a 30%, they probably go about 80-90%. So
that's too much. I think it depends on how much you enjoy food. Of course, someone maybe spend a bit more, but lifestyle spending is not only about food. There will be other stuff.
Holiday.
Like,
experiences, like
some impulse
impulse buying, like what our children did this afternoon.
Well, that's their lifestyle spending. They just want to buy soft toys.
So like for us, like I think it's because I went through from like spending and then cut dramatically cold turkey with nothing and just paying off the debt as quickly as possible, and then I try to accumulate wealth as quickly as possible. Sometimes it is a little bit hard from spending and then cold turkey and then try to spend again.
It's hard. But I'm like thinking we haven't spent so much for ourselves, and we need to reward ourselves. Maybe something that you don't value the food as much as I do, or maybe you value something else. But it's just treat yourself something that you enjoy.
That's it. I think it's like what was it, the difference between things and experiences?
Oh yeah.
So like for you, like the experiences when going to a restaurant, it's your thing.
Because I like the vibe. I haven't. Whoa, only adult. There's no kid. Wow.
That's it. And then the next one would be also draft a financial vision board. Like for us, in one of our room, we have this giant sliding glass mirror. Like and there was 3 of them. I'm like, okay, then that would be, I can draw, I can write stuff in this. So instead of, and that helps a lot. It gives you a budget, it gives you like a big vision, like, short-term, long-term
goal.
Plan.
Yeah, that's our short-term, how many months we have to save up for this, or maybe by next year we will be doing this, and then in 5 years time, what are we going to do? And then I have this long-term 10-year plan for optional retirement.
So that really helps for if you can see it in a regular basis. Maybe sometimes in the bathroom or so you can write it down in there. So anywhere that you can actually read it in a regular basis, like at least once a day, if you can. So
next one is set specific financial goals.
So
specific, which means how much, for example, you want to pay off your debt. How much do you want to pay it off? How quickly do you have to pay off, and by what time? And by doing this, then each week, each month, or each day how much you have to put your money towards to paying off that.
Like for example would be, I remember when I had to pay like $5,000 on a credit card, and it's very painful because it's occurring like an interest. While I have this loan. So if I break it down, okay, then if I can't pay it within about 5 months, which is $1,000 plus the interest, okay, then how do I digest that, spread that again in a weekly basis? Can you actually afford to make that maybe 250 plus interest or so? And then if you can't, okay, then you understand that if you are extending this instead of 5 months becomes, let's say, a year. Yes, the repayment a little bit lower, but at the same time the interest a little bit more higher. So if you break it down slowly bits and pieces, chunks or so, it helps a lot. So
like you feel like it's more achievable, you can do it. When you see a big number, is I can't reach it. But when you cut it down to a smaller chunk or in amount, then you know that okay, by this time I can do it. But you just have to visualize, when do I have to do it, how can I do it, and you set a plan to do it.
And then the thing is, by the time you set that small, like it looks so big beforehand, but it's actually it's actually quite small. And then if you go through it, if you can achieve that small bits and pieces goal, let's say, or whatever that is, you'd be amazed what you can tackle the next one. Let's say if it was the first one, it is impossible for me to pay off $5,000 loan, and then I can pay it off, and then I can tackle another 10.
Don't accumulate more debt.
No, but then if that ever happened in your life again, you're like, well, I know the procedures, I know what I have to do, and you can go to the next level.
Correct.
Let's say if you have multiple debt, let's say one of them is 5, 10, 15. Well, if you can polish the 5, well, what stops you to
go to the 10?
Go to the 10, go to the 15, polish them as well.
Correct.
So you'd be amazed about that. And then the other thing would be, you gotta love yourself. You gotta, sometimes you gotta sit back, which I don't really do as often previously, but I do now. Like every time we do for dinner or something, I sort of sit down and like, look at where we are now. You know, you gotta take back and just enjoy the ride and just look back like what have you achieved, and you should be proud of yourself. You know what I mean? Like I remember, what was it? There are some darker days trying to tackle a lot of debt.
Yeah.
And if you keep on going persistently, at a certain point, you need to sit back and look back.
Give yourself a back.
And, you know, looking at what have you achieved, you know, let's say back on that $5,000 debt as an example, like, okay, you made it halfway, like, all right, so at least you give yourself, like, you know, a pat in the back, reward yourself a little bit, not as much, and, you know, and then as you go along until you paid off everything, as an example.
Yeah. So, the next one is make bite-sized money goal, like what we mentioned earlier. So for example, this time is you setting a goal. For example, you want to buy a house. You need certain amount of deposit. Nowadays in Australia is quite a lot. Let's assume you need $100,000. Very hard to save.
In the beginning.
Yes, very hard to save. And how long can you save it? Like how long? And it all depends on how much you earn, how much. So back to budget, how much you earn, how much do you spend, how much is the surplus you can use, and in that surplus, how much are you going to allocate to saving to your home deposit? Because you may not save that 100%, you still need to spend. You need to do some like fun things. Maybe in the 50% of the surplus money, you put it towards to your home deposit saving. Maybe all break down into 5 years, $100,000, and you're saving $20,000 a year. And then in $20,000 a year, which means you may need $400 a week. Is it achievable? If it's not, maybe cut down to 3, maybe cut down to 2. At least you have a smaller goal, then you know that, okay, 100,000 is achievable. It may take a bit longer than what you think or what you plan, but it's something that you can do.
And the last one on this series, guys, is pretty much try to banish any toxic words that is going through your mind. Yeah, I remember I actually work with a person at the moment where they always say, hey, here's a task to do. They always make an excuse. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, it's impossible to do. Oh, this is not working. And I try to explain to the person, like, from here on, try not to say no words like, no, it cannot happen. Try not to have that negative words going through your mind. If you keep on saying that, it must be true. If you keep on saying, hey, it's impossible for you to pay off your debt, for example, or hey, it's impossible for you to have a saving deposit for a house. If you keep on saying that, it's definitely is true.
You can't do it. Yes.
Yeah, whatever you say, it actually.
How can I do it?
Yeah.
Right. What are the things that I can do to achieve that?
Correct.
Like be positive. Is sometimes like our daughter, we ask her to do something. No.
Yeah.
And then we read a book. No, never. And then they were like, oh, I realized, okay, when I say that word, when the other person receive it, it's such a negative feeling. So whenever we read the book and she feel like, okay, I shouldn't say it. So I think we have to bring it back.
Yeah.
and then if you have that negative thought, which means you're already doing the negative things.
You block yourself to whatever
I'm not doing it.
Trying to do.
Yes.
You know, for example, you want to go to point A to point B. There's 100 different ways to get point A to point B. But if you just say, nope, it can't be done, I can't do it, this is too hard, then you haven't even tried all of the different ways of doing it. Right. So anyway, that's just our 2 cents, guys. Hopefully these type of tips actually help you guys out. These are part number 2 on I guess tips that will change the way you think about money. If you guys like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe, comment.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.